What's up, everybody? So I finally moved into my housing in Yosemite. Good morning.
Oh my god, that is that is so high, that waterfall.
What can you say, Tabitha?
Nothing.
Look, if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Through UC Merced's Yosemite Leadership Program, I took the opportunity of a lifetime to work at Yosemite National Park as an intern with the Yosemite Conservancy, the park's nonprofit partner. Part of my job as an intern with Yosemite Conservancy's Art and Education Center is to attend one art workshop with the Artist of the Week each week. Surprisingly, I was more excited than intimidated by this, since I had never really painted before, and my supervisor Alina Allen reminded me of how I simply played with art as a child rather than being so mindful of the outcome. I enjoyed how each artist had a distinct approach on producing their artwork. Some used bright and bold colors, while others used more subdued colors. Some were fast, while others worked on a slower pace. And these differences taught me that there really isn't a right or wrong approach to art. It's about allowing oneself to uniquely interpret one's senses, thoughts, and emotions through whatever medium without restraint. For my first art class at the Yosemite Art and Education Center with Jerry Medway, I was so afraid of making something that I would not be satisfied with. I was afraid to make mistakes. So instead of actually working hard on my piece, I decided to just not try at all, because what I had produced so far just didn't look good to me. Yet, as we all know, in order to improve and in the long run succeed, mistakes are essential. Over the course of the summer, I became less and less afraid of putting myself out there, of moving my brush across the paper. For every art workshop each week, I learned a variety of techniques. Dana Childs taught me how to scumble and how to make trees and rivers. Margaret Moore taught me to write down what colors I plan on using while sketching outside, then actually paint indoors. Anne Browns taught me how to play with colors on silk. Even though I'm far from having the ability to have a piece worthy enough to be in a gallery, I just enjoy the process of painting. Who would have known that I'd be carrying my papers, paints, and brushes in my backpack for a hike? When you venture outside in Yosemite to paint, the options are limitless. Once you actually start the process and look at whatever you've decided to translate onto a piece of paper, it's amazing how you notice all the details that you would usually never notice as a visitor just passing by and taking a picture.
The slowing down part of it, instead of just walking by which hike are we going to go on next, and I like to go on hikes, nothing against hikes, but to take time to slow down and really look at something and watch how the light changes.
Nice things about it is those people will look at those paintings when they get home and they will remember being there, they'll remember sitting in Yosemite, they'll remember what the weather was like, they'll remember the other things that were going on around them and the beauty of this amazing valley. And it becomes a personal thing for them and a connection to Yosemite.
Furthermore, art can be a powerful tool because of its ability to evoke a variety of emotional responses. For example, Ansel Adams used his photographs to promote the environmental movement at the time. His photographs made their way to Lincoln, which were instrumental to the preservation of the park through the Yosemite Grant in 1864. Beestott's dramatic art displayed the prevailing notion of Yosemite at the time, how magical and powerful it was. Thomas Hill captured the depth and vastness of Yosemite. Hahn was the first artist in 1874 to actually include people in his painting, which reflected the westward expansion period. This marked the time when Yosemite began to be considered a playground for people. These artists were able to document the changing eras, and more importantly, they were able to connect people to Yosemite. Another part of my job as an intern with the Yosemite Art and Education Center is to develop a public education portion of the Monday Family Arts and Crafts program. I chose to discuss Yosemite's Miwok cultural history, focusing on basketry. What really fascinated me about basketry is how it served as a tunnel to their history. By examining their basketry, we learn about gender differences and daily activities. When we examine the evolution of the design patterns, we learn how the simpler baskets were for practical use, but because of influence from the new settlers, they created more complex patterns to profit from it. Art allows us to understand the varying stories in anthropology. After learning about all the amazing opportunities available at the Yosemite Art and Education Center, I have decided to create a video promotion piece for the Art Center as my project for this internship. Through my work at the Yosemite Art and Education Center, I learned a variety of new skills, such as painting, creating public education programs, and public speaking. But I also had lots of fun. Lots of it. Good morning.
Alright, we just hiked up to the top of the falls.
I just backpacked to on the John Muir Trail. I'm on top of Nevada Falls. Doing up the cables. It's a long way down, so I'm on top of a half dome. With these moments, I stop, I listen, I examine the roads that I have taken. I realize that I have been affected, that I have learned, and I take some new knowledge into my basket of thoughts and leave some behind as I move past my own history. I observed a family of marmots. I was in a bear jam. I ate rice and meat on a cliff. My nose bled profusely as I hiked to higher elevations. I frolicked with joyful company during a barn dance. I witnessed the movement of lights and clouds during a sunset on Sentinel Dome. I ran and screamed through the deserted Wawona Tunnel at midnight. I learned the stories behind the monuments. I have lived in this place. I have been moved. And as this road comes to a stop, I look behind me, to my right and to my left, and then I move forward to continue my journey to another day, another adventure.